All right, we ready? Cool. Hey, everybody, how's everybody doing? Hopefully, everybody's having a wonderful Friday. We made it to another week. It's awesome that we finally got here, but as always, I like to start out the videos by sending my thoughts and prayers to the essentials out there, the ones that are working at the hospitals and, doctors, nurses, janitors that have to, do so much to keep us all safe, and everybody out there that's an essential right now that is working. Hopefully you guys are all safe and everybody's taking a precaution into all this. As always, wash your hands before and before every meal and after a meal, so that way you're good, no germs on you. And if you got a cough on your shoulder or a cough on your elbow, and just do your part, guys. I mean, the quicker we learn to just stay home and just do the right thing, the quicker this all goes away. And for the ones that are quarantined right now, hopefully, um, you guys are taking this time to self-care and rest your mind, rest your body. But also, during this time of quarantine, um, hopefully you guys are learning something about yourselves and learning about everything, just enjoying the times with your loved ones, your kids. And hopefully you guys are trying something new. I know it's a weird thing to say right now, but you know if you got if you're stuck and you don't know what to do, I mean, I thought about doing this for a long time, and can't believe it took up into to get to this point for me to start doing these videos. But try something different. You might learn something about yourself, and that's not a bad thing, because with everything going on, it's not a bad time to start something new. So, just everybody just stay safe out there, be smart about it, and the quicker we all do our part, the quicker, we get through this, and hopefully that's soon. And let's get this show started. So, today we have the New England Patriots. They are on the clock. So, this is a team that took over the headlines, probably not for the good reasons, as some, Patriot fans are going to find out here soon. And for people that haven't really been keeping up, or kind of been living under a rock. But let's dive right into it. So the Patriots finished 12-4. They won the division again. It seems like that's always been the case for them. And they looked as dominant as a dominant team can look at. I mean, the first 8 games, they went 8-0. They scored 250 and only allowed 61, which was a positive of 189 point differential. They dominated the first 8 weeks. It was just win after win after win. And they had a couple shutouts, they held teams to 0, and, plus 89. They were looking unstoppable. And by the end of the year, it was just bad. And we have our first comment. Joan Garcia, hey brother, how you doing? Hopefully your Friday night's good. Hopefully everything's good. But as I was saying, the last 8 games they went 4-4. They scored 170, but allowed 164, which gave them a +6. So that whole last stretch, they just did not look like themselves. And to give you an idea of why, me personally, I believe it was just depth. That was the problem I think I had for this team. They had no weapons, wide receivers. Their running game was non-existent. There was no offense, and because that defense was one of the best. And then once they figured out the offense really can't do anything, I mean, that it doesn't matter how great of a defense you are. If you keep going three and out, three and out, three and out, eventually your defense is going to get worn out. And I think that's what happened. It's just the offense couldn't match up to the intensity that the defense had. And really, this does start last year around this time in the 2019 draft. They had the 32nd pick. They decided to keep it. They didn't trade it. They didn't do anything. They kept it, and they drafted a wide receiver, N'Keal Harry, out of Arizona State. Now, in retrospective, right now, it looks like a bad pick because due to the fact that we know how the season played out, we know how these rookie receivers did. And when right now the talk of the town of wide receivers is DK Metcalf, that you could have gotten him in the first round. Instead, you drafted N'Keal Harry. Well, N'Keal Harry did have potential. It's just there's a saying my brother always says, and I didn't really learn about it until later down the road. You're drafted where you're drafted because of a reason. There's a reason why, even though he was a first round pick, there's a reason why he was the last pick. And to give you to put it down straight, he was hurt majority of the season. And when he did come, he was a non-factor in that offense. 12 catches, 108 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not the kind of numbers you expect for your first round pick. I mean, I think there was only one player who had a worse rookie year for a wide receiver, and that was Darius Hayward Bay back in 2009 when he got drafted. And it's not looking promising right now, but it was just his rookie year, and we'll see how he progresses. And hopefully, this offseason he can stay healthy. He can get through camp healthy, no injuries, and we'll finally see what happens. And we'll go from there. So the second round pick was Jawan Williams, a corner. He only had 85 tackles. That's 5 tackles a game. Not There's a reason he didn't play a lot, because when you look at the secondary for New England, just on a base, their two starting corners were Stephon Gilmore, J.C. Jackson. That was the corner tandem, and then you had the McCourties at strong and free safety, which there was no need for him to really play that much. He did get playing time, but like I said, second round pick, he was kind of like a stash away player. Hopefully in a couple of years he turns into something good, and then they just go from there. They had 3 third round picks, which is kind of amazing to think. But again, if they don't, third round picks are essential now, because those are still starting players that you hope to pan out. The first third round pick was Chase Winovich, who only ended up having 5.5 sacks on the year. He was more of a rotational guy, but I think by next year he will get a little bit more of a playing role, just due to the fact of the players that did leave, and he will probably get a little bit more playing time. But high energy defensive lineman. He looked great coming out of Michigan. I thought a third round was probably a little bit too low for him. I did mention a couple times to a couple of my friends and my brother at one point, where I actually liked him more than Rashawn Gary. A lot of people had Rashawn Gary as a first. I didn't see it. Um, I have nothing against Rashawn Gary. It's just, a nose tackle, just a run stuffer in a first round pick. I just was never a big fan of. There's people that that don't like running backs in the first round. Me personally, I'm a still big believer in running backs in the first round if it's the right place and right time. It's a case by case, but in Rashawn Gary's case, I just didn't like him at the first, and they got him, and Rashawn Gary went to the Packers in the first round, and it didn't work out. And we have a comment. Yes, sir. We both said no on Rashawn Gary. Yeah, we I remember there was a couple mocks that me and my brother looked at, and they had him etched with one of our first round picks, and I was just like, oh no, maybe in the second, third, but not in the first. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. Everybody was a rookie, and we'll see if they pick it up. Their second, third round pick, Damian Harris. Now, this is a name that was kind of significant in last year's draft class, because there was an anonymous scout, and I hate that term. If you're gonna say something, put your stamp next to it. Own up to it. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. It happens. We're human. You know, there was only one perfect man in this world, and he still ended up dying. In the cross. So nobody's perfect, guys. But there was an anonymous scout who pretty much put the Alabama running back class, because it was between Josh Jacobs and Damian Harris. And one scout put it out there: I would not touch Josh Jacobs at all. I have more faith in Damian Harris. Well, I mean, case by case again. Damian Harris got hurt. Even when he did come back, he was a non-factor because in 12 games he was a healthy scratch, meaning they needed another lineman, but they needed a player to be a healthy scratch. And Damian Harris for 12 games was a healthy scratch, and his total, 2019 stats: 4 attempts, 12 yards. That was it. And to that scout, whoever said it, you got to own up to it, man. Like I hate hearing anonymous sources, anonymous scouts, because really then you're just like me, just you can just make a video and just put in your 2 cents, and nobody, not a lot of people would care. But I rest my case, and that's another conversation for another time. With their last third round pick, they drafted Yodoni Kajuste, offensive tackle. He did not play one game. He did not play one game. He wasn't in the injured reserve. He just, again, healthy scratch every week. He made the roster. He just healthy scratch, and that happens sometimes. You knew it was going to be a problem when Marshall Newhouse started taking over left tackle reps, and we all know Marshall Newhouse really wasn't the best option at left tackle. But then he moved to, he's probably going to make a switch to guard, and he actually improved a little bit. But when you're a rookie, you can't take over Marshall Newhouse. That's kind of an indication telling me it can't get any better. It's just one of those deals where, like I always say, I can't do what these guys do, but just by looking at tape, the tape don't lie. If you can't take over Marshall Newhouse, something's wrong. And we gotta, they really have to evaluate if he's worth keeping around, because at fourth, that's still a you know, pretty big pick. And then for the other fourth round pick, or I'm sorry, that was the third. The next round, fourth round, they drafted Hajalti Frodhall. He was an offensive lineman too. He ended up in IR. He got hurt during OTAs. I think it was a complete grade on him because we don't know what he can do. So maybe he's the offensive lineman that the Patriots need right now. Who knows? But not, they're not pretty. So hopefully, he comes back healthy and he comes back good. Um, oops. Sorry about that, guys. With the other fourth round pick, they drafted a quarterback, Jarrett Stidham. This name's going to be important more into the free agencies, free agency for New England. And, we'll get to that in a minute. But Jarrett Stidham, quarterback out of Auburn, he was a good college quarterback. He was really good. Now, whether or not it translates to the pros is yet to be seen because he only got a little limited playing time. He only did 2 completions out of 4 attempts, and one of them was a pick six. So yeah, that's the sample size, guys. That's the sample size of Jarrett Stidham. I know it doesn't sound impressive right now, but he's the man. This is the man that New England is probably going to roll with, unless Brian Hoyer, who's coming back for his third time in New England, gets the start over him. But as of right now, Jarrett Stidham is the number one quarterback, and we'll see what happens. And you know, because going from Tom Brady to Jarrett Stidham, it's that's a big gap. So all we can do is just wish him the best, and we'll see what he's got. So fifth round comes, Byron Colwart, only 2 tackles and 43 snaps. That's just he was a rotational man, and out of 43 snaps, he got 2 tackles, and that was his year. The fifth rounder, which by many accounts was probably their best pick. This fifth round pick was probably their best pick. Jake Bailey, the punter, he was seventh in the league as a rookie with 45 yards average per punt. So that was probably their best pick. That was probably their A+ pick. Now looking into, 2020, retrospective, that was their best pick. And then to finish off the draft, they drafted Ken Webster. He got released in training camp, and then he was picked up by the Miami Dolphins and didn't really play that much. And when he did, he gave up 51% of his pass attempts, when he was targeted. So again, not the best draft class for New England. And that's kind of the thing. New England never had to worry about draft classes because they were always well coached. They had Tom Brady, they had Bill Belichick. So it always seemed like they were going to compete for years. This year was very different. Like I said, they started off really hot. The first week they defeated Pittsburgh 33-3. So right off the bat, they looked like real contenders. Then week two, they added Antonio Brown. They won there, and then a week later they released them. But it didn't matter because the first 8 games they went 8-0. And like I said, they scored 250 points, but they only gave up 61. So they had a point differential of plus 189. Then the first loss was to Baltimore, and that's when you can kind of see ended up losing to the Texans, and it was just not good. It just wasn't looking good. Like nothing was clicking offensively for New England at that point in time. So they went 4-4. They scored 170, but they gave up 164, so it gave them a plus 6. And then they had to win against Miami the last week if they wanted the second number 2 seed to get a bye week, just to get a bye week to recoup and everything. They ended up losing to Miami on like the last minute of the game. Miami scores, game's over, um, and now they have to be the 3rd seed, and now they have to play the Tennessee Titans, who at that time was the hottest team coming into the playoffs. They just had Derrick Henry. He's becoming this aura of he's a right. He didn't have to throw the ball that much. Derrick Henry was just running all over the place, and Mike Vrabel did an excellent job on doing his thing. And you know, which was the ironic part. He's such a defensive-minded coach, and he played the New England offense so well. And the last throw for Tom Brady ever for a Patriot was a pick six. He threw an interception and it got returned for a touchdown. That was the last throw as Brady as a New England Patriot, and here we are. So season's over. Now they have to make this decision on who to keep, who not to keep, and it seemed for like the first time in a long time, the Patriots look vulnerable. It doesn't feel that way because they still have Bill Belichick, but just by the names that I'm about to read that are, that did leave, they're pretty significant names. For one, Landon Roberts, special team ace. Ted Karras, who was a starting center, is now on the Dolphins. Danny Shelton, he's now in the Lions. Jamie Collins leaves again, and he goes to the Lions to join with Danny Shelton. Nate Ebner, another special team ace, he goes to the Giants. Philip Dorsett, the speedy wide receiver, is now a Seahawk. So now they have DK Metcalf and Philip Dorsett. That's a lineman, safety. He has another special teams ace. He's a Lion now. Kyle Van Noy leaves, the defensive captain, he leaves, and he is now a Dolphin. So, and if things couldn't get worse, any worse than they did, New England fans one day had to wake up and hear Tom Brady signed a 2-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He left New England, and this is going to be the first time since 1999 somebody not named Tom Brady, or I'm sorry, Matt Castle, did start for them in 2015, but that was after week 1 when Tom Brady went down with an ACL injury. But this is going to be the first time, since the season opener, that the quarterback is not going to be named Tom Brady. I don't know what, this is the whole story. This whole offseason is, did Belichick not like Tom anymore? Did Tom just want to be free? This is my 2 cents about it. I think Tom did enough. He's had enough, and he did all he could for New England. The thing you guys got to remember, New England, before Tom, not the best memories for Patriots fans, who are a little bit older than me, and they remember life before Tom. And it wasn't the best of memories. Sure, they had Drew Bledsoe, and sure, they had a couple good seasons here and there, but it wasn't the best of memories. And him coming in and giving him all they could, no Patriot fans should really be upset that he left. And if you are upset that he left, take a look at yourself in the mirror. He gave you guys 20 of the best years a franchise could ever have in the history of the NFL. I know teams that would legitimately cheat just to have 10 good years. And you're upset that he gave you 20 and he decided to do what was best for him and his family. For me, Tom Brady's gone. He left. He's going to the NFC South now, which is the matchup I think a lot of fans have always wanted was a Saints and a Patriots Super Bowl. We never got that, but now we get Drew Brees of the Saints and Tom Brady leading the Buccaneers. They're going to play twice a year. I'm almost certain they're going to have a Monday night, a Sunday night. One of those two games are going to be slotted for that because it's just too much. That's a lot. That's a money cash right there. That's a money grab right there. But they left and now they have to regroup and they got a couple players. They got Cody Davis from the Jaguars. They got Brendan Copeland from the Jets. Danny Vitale, the longtime fullback, he's joining the team. Adrian Phillips is coming. Demir Bird from Arizona is coming. Bo Allen, who was in Tampa Bay, he's coming now. Matthew Slater re-signed, which is another special teams ace and who's been a Pro Bowl, consistent Pro Bowler for the Patriots at special teams for a lot of years now. They tagged Joey Thuney, who's one of the best guards in the NFL. Devin McCourty comes back, and then, as I mentioned earlier, Brian Hoyer is coming back for the third time as a New England Patriots. So that's the competition. Unless they decide to add a quarterback in the draft, that's it. It's going to be Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham. And, may the best man win, and we'll see what happens from there. And we'll see, this is finally going to be the question that we always wanted to know. Was it who was more to the success of New England? Was it Tom Brady or was it Bill Belichick? My money's on Bill Belichick. He's a defensive minded guy and he's a genius. I mean, he knows how to play the game within the game. And I think it was Bill, but I mean, this is going to be interesting to see. Now we'll finally get to know who was the success to New England, and I can't wait. So, with all that being said, New England needs a strong draft class. 2019 was not their strongest, and it showed. So hopefully they learn from their mistakes, they learn from their lessons, and they can regroup in 2020. And with all the names that are left, that are left in the draft board, they can't go wrong here. It's a deep draft, so whoever they get, they need to step in right away. And here it is with my prediction of the 2020 NFL draft. This is my prediction on who I think the Patriots are going to take for the 2020 NFL draft. Oh man, that's a beautiful sound. I love that sound. And to think we're only 2 weeks away. We can't wait, guys. Can't wait. So here we go. With the 23rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU. Look, Kyle Van Noy's gone. Jamie Collins is gone. Derek Rivers, we don't know what his role is going to be on the team now. He's been there for 3, but he never really lived up to the third-round pick that he was. So they need a new middle linebacker, and they need a leader. They need somebody who can lead that defense and help the offense again. And hopefully the offense can just do just enough to, win them a couple games here and there. But Patrick Queen out of LSU, he was the middle linebacker for that national championship defense. We got a comment, Joan Garcia. Patrick Queen is a super beast. Yes, he is. Yes, he is a super beast. He's 6 foot, 230 pounds, 31 arm length, 10-inch hands. He ran a 4.5 40, 18 reps, 35 vertical, 10.5 broad jump. Look, he was the captain of that LSU defense for the national championship. I have no doubt in my mind, you give a player like Patrick Queen to Bill Belichick, he'll turn him into something great. He loves his linebackers. He always raves about Lawrence Taylor, how Lawrence Taylor was his favorite football player to coach. Now, I'm not saying that Patrick Queen's going to be Lawrence Taylor, not by any means. But if you give a player with that athleticism and with that, attitude that he loves the game, Bill Belichick is going to make him turn into something. And he's just one of the better linebackers coming out in this draft. It's very rare, that a linebacker of his caliber falls. It's just linebackers are not being used as much anymore as back in the day. Now people are really, going instead of a 4-3 base, they're going into the 4-5-2 base or the 4-2-5 base, which is four defensive linemen, two linebackers, and then five defensive backs. But there's a couple teams that still run the 4-3. And I think in this case, you got to get a guy like Patrick Queen for New England to be the leader and, kind of replace that lost leadership that New England lost over the off season. And we'll see what New England does. I mean, it's going to be an interesting year, and we'll see how the cards fall. And we'll see how the cards fall. So that was it for today's video. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Tomorrow, the Saints are on the clock, and this is going to be good. This is going to be really good. Drew Brees is back. He's back for one more year. The Saints, the last couple of years, have kind of gotten they've gotten questionable calls from the referees at the end of the game for their season to kind of, be forgotten. But we'll get more into that tomorrow, and tomorrow should be a fun one with the Saints. And we only have one more week, this Sunday, and then one more week, which is next Sunday, and then that'll be it for the videos. And then I'll make one more video for a recap, and then I'll try to see if I can hook up with my brother at his house. We'll reveal our draft boards for the Raiders, and we'll go from there. But only one more week, and then draft season's here, guys. So hopefully we're all getting excited. Hopefully we're all counting down the days, because I know I am, and hopefully it's a good one. We'll see how it goes with this whole thing. But tomorrow's the Saints. You all have a wonderful night. Enjoy your Friday night. Have a cold one, and we will see you tomorrow.